and communities across the country. My apologies for that hiccup there. We're so excited to partner with the Manufacturing Institute today. They are the education workforce arm of the National Association of Manufacturers, the nation's largest industrial trade association. And we're also excited to partner with the incredible group of leaders that they have helped us in assembling here today. Among those leaders are Erica Peterman, Senior Vice President for Chemical Intermediates North America at BASF Corporation, Dee Brown, the Director of M&A Strategy and Transactions at EY Parthenon, and Tim Hedrick, the Program Chair for Advanced Manufacturing Technology at Vincennes University. We will be hearing about the landscapes and realities of modern manufacturing, how panelist organizations are helping create a more diverse and equitable workforce in the industry, and how the manufacturing industry can support local communities as a whole. With that, I'm thrilled to introduce our moderator today, Carolyn Lee. She's the Executive Director of the Manufacturing Institute. Carolyn, without further ado, I'll turn things over to you.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks for having us join you today. We're excited to do so. So let's start with a little context for manufacturing. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that COVID-19 and the pandemic has put manufacturing in the spotlight. Manufacturers have not only made every life possible by producing everything in our lives possible by producing household goods, but also has saved lives by producing personal protection equipment, medical devices, treatments, and now, thankfully, vaccines. Modern manufacturing will generate 4.6 million new skilled jobs by 2028, and yet almost half of those will go unfilled because we don't have the people with the skills. And really at the crux of this is an outdated perception of the industry, so people don't know that these are jobs that they would desire. And so with skills in high demand, these jobs are high paying, in fact, and that's something we want to talk a little bit about today. The Manufacturing Institute is working to fill these jobs by growing and supporting the industry's skilled workforce. And our diverse initiatives support all American workers, including emerging workers, women, veterans, students, and through skills training programs, community building, and career growth opportunities for upskilling and reskilling. As manufacturers, we recognize that the integral role that our industry plays in lifting up people and communities. We have a unique opportunity and an obligation to bring people from all backgrounds into our industry. Not only will this help us close the skills gap, but it's also going to help us close the opportunity gap that exists in our country. And at the end of the day, we all know that diversity strengthens the industry as a whole and also is great for encouraging innovation and creativity. So I'm really excited to be here today to speak with leaders in the manufacturing industry who have joined us to discuss the rewarding career opportunities available in modern manufacturing. So I talk about modern manufacturing, so, and that might sound, kind of like a new term, but I grew up in a manufacturing family like many, and I remember going to the shop floor with my dad and my grandfather for the small business that they owned, and it was not what I see today, and so it's easy for me to understand why so many people have an outdated perception of manufacturing. But what we all know here on this panel today is that the reality of modern manufacturing is not my grandfather's industry anymore. And so I want to talk about with all of our panelists to get us started, what does modern manufacturing look like today? And Erica, why don't we start with you?
Hi, everyone. Erica Peterman, dialing in from New Jersey. Thanks for allowing me to be a panelist today. And BASF is a chemical manufacturing company. We have over 90 manufacturing facilities located in North America, and we have 3 big manufacturing facilities located on the Gulf Coast between Texas and Louisiana. If you walk into our manufacturing facilities today, you'll see our operators doing their rounds. They're actually using tablets, they're using smartphones. In order for us to do our inspections, you might see a few drones flying around to really access those areas that we normally, let's say in former times, would have accessed by running up, 20 flights of stairs. So we really use technology a lot more now than we have done in the past to really make sure that our operations proceeds in a very proactive and safe way for our people, our employees, and the community. We have a link that we'll probably share with you guys later if we can't do it right now that describes a little bit more what it's like to work in manufacturing today versus what it was like in the past. In the past, it was much more task-oriented, a little bit more manual work involved in terms of working as an operations technician. Today, when we're looking to hire people, we try and emphasize the role that technology plays in day-to-day activities, and we're really looking for people who can think critically, communicate well with others, troubleshoot, and problem solve as part of their daily work.
That's excellent, and I love the drone and the technology, and that is real. It's not, that is really what we see. So Dee, talk about your perspective a little bit, and also where are you and where are you calling in from today?
Okay, my name is Dee Brown. I'm with EY Parthenon. I'm out of Dallas, Texas. So, my perspective, of course, is a little different, being that I'm client serving, but I did spend over 10 years in manufacturing. So definitely cut my teeth early in heavy manufacturing. I was in the trucking. We built on Class 8 trucks. But with that said, when I think about, what the work that I'm doing with my clients, because I work with manufacturing clients, especially they're on this journey, to Industry 4.0 and Factory of the Future, piggyback on a lot of what Erica is saying, it's really very much, it's heavily dependent on technology and being connected. And, one of the big things I'm working on right now in the automotive industry is mobility as a service. And, with one of my clients, we're having to transform, how they look at their supply chain, how they're interacting, not just within their, what we would call their internal pillars, but how they're also interacting with all of their partners within their supply chain. But with that said, you're going to have the right talent that's going to be able to, analyze the data, have the right systems that's going to be able to push the data to that talent so that quick decisions are going to be able to be made in order to support what we would say is the, Industry 4.0 and the factory of the future. So understanding the skill sets, understanding, how we support, we would just say, our young talent, as they're deciding, what the future potentially will look like for them, really being able to articulate, the benefits of this industry and the rewarding work that they'll be doing. So, as I said, continue to work with my clients. And again, most of this is going to be, that I'm going to be speaking from today is going to be from that client perspective. But definitely EY is doing a lot of work in manufacturing, specifically around women and minorities, and really promoting diversity in the industry.
Which is a huge something we need and something we need to do, right? For a whole lot of reasons. So definitely. Tim, you come from, another perspective, but one so integral to all of our ability to be successful, right? So what do you see, and what's the difference in today's world?
Well, I'm Tim Hedrick from Vincennes University. My background, I've been teaching post-secondary education for about 8 years now. I come from manufacturing. I have around 28 years of manufacturing experience doing a vast array of things, skilled maintenance, robotics, controls, automation, stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of manufacturing. My last experience with manufacturing has been at the Toyota Indiana plant. So I did work there for several years. And that automation and stuff is there every day. And that plant's been around for 20 years. And it's great that most of my instructors are able to kind of have that background too. They come in here. We don't have those bachelor's and doctorate degrees in our program. We are associate degrees, came out of the blue collar work. So we're teaching our students what we know. And it works out well. We have a lot of companies and partnerships available from those companies and stuff. So our program, we teach, I tell the students, hey, it's not if the equipment's going to break down, it's when. So that automation equipment does break down. So we are there to kind of help get that equipment up and running. It's very hard. It's difficult. There's robots, there's PLCs, programmable logic controllers. There's all those sensors and things, and they integrate together into computer system. And we've got to troubleshoot that equipment, get back up and running in the quickest, fastest time we can. So, to go back several years ago, that wasn't around. It was all hand labor and stuff. But, we're working side by side next to a robot or a piece of equipment. And it's very, very difficult. These students come out of here with a 2-year degree in post-secondary education. They've still got a lot to learn. but they are prepared to troubleshoot, problem solve. You can do some critical thinking, things like that. So, you know, our biggest struggle I see is as an instructor, the chair here is getting the high schools and stuff, the guidance counselor and stuff, over this perception that you talk about. Hey, it's not a dirty environment anymore. It's clean when you walk into these places. It's neat. It's very, very hard. There's a lot of math. You got to be able to communicate. So it's just, it's great to see that. And I think the pay's great out there too for our skill level. You know, I always tell those guys, hey, you can make a lot of money with this associate's degree and stuff. So many opportunities to raise a family with this degree.
Absolutely. You know, I could, the last Toyota tour I took, I think I could have eaten off the floor, right? And that's the
Yep.
fact. And most of, now that was not how it was, you know, in my dad's shop when I was a kid. And you know, it has changed so much. And the thing is it's really changed from a physical job to a mental job, right? It is that intellectual job and the training and the learning that goes to it. And the thing particularly about the skill set you were talking about, Tim, it's so critical. Everyone needs that skill set. The maintenance technician, nothing works if you don't have those. So you're in need. And really one thing that I found in all my years of working now is getting to do something different every day. And certainly if you're in the maintenance tech, you know, role and many other roles in our sector, it is different because you're problem solving, you know, and as we look to the future skills, and I know we'll get to this, there really are human skills, as much technology as we have in our sector, which is amazing, right? And it's amazing to see. And it's just, it's like being in, I don't know, the Jetsons or something. Depends on how old you are, if you recognize that reference. But, you know, some of the technology is amazing, but at the heart of it are the people who need to maintain and program and imagine and work alongside of the technology. So, you know, Tim, I know you just touched on this a little bit, and that manufacturing does offer lucrative family supporting career opportunities from people with all backgrounds and skill levels. You know, so you talked a little bit about maintenance technician. What other kinds of career opportunities are available for manufacturing, and how do people access? So if you go to a high school and you talk about the opportunities that Vincennes offers for training, you know, what else do you talk to them about?
Well, you know, it's about, you know, the main was that skilled maintenance level that they come in at, our industrial maintenance, but also there's these opportunities. People have that equipment has to get put in that plant somehow. So there's engineering firms out there that actually come in and they build that in, you know, I want to say in the back of somebody's garage. Well, that does happen a lot more than you think it does. We do have a lot of small engineering groups in the area due to the automotive, you know, in our area. Southern Indiana's pretty high in manufacturing. So those skill levels are needed to come in and wire and program and debug and then install it, and then stay there and support it when it's installed and stuff. So those are great opportunities. Those are controls engineering jobs, basically, where you write PLC code. So the multi-skill level there of wiring, troubleshooting, programming, all that kind of plays a role. That's a good opportunity. You know, I call it an automation engineer. There's electrical and instrumentation type things with process control plants. So you get in, you know, not into automotive, but you get in more like the gasoline industry where they do that processing. There's grain processing plants where they run 24/7, 365 days a year. So those are electrical and instrumentation jobs, and those are a skill level needed too. We have many of those refineries and stuff in the area also. So when people or graduates come out of our program, there's so many different avenues you can take. Like I say, I can't teach them all. It's the basics I teach them here, and then they've got to grow with that opportunity and go out there and reach out and kind of improve those skills, what they kind of grow from.
So Erica, I can see you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in there, and you know, I really appreciate Dr. Hendrick's comments, because on the one side, he's talking about programming that's out there that people can go and pursue. I think from my perspective, being in the chemical manufacturing arena, we often find that people don't realize that there are programs out there that help to build the skills that really set you up for these really great paying jobs. So what BASF has done, we have an apprenticeship program, and I'll use our Freeport, Texas site as a model there. We're partnering with the local community college. It's called Brazosport Community College. And through our partnership with them, we've developed a program that enables people to earn while they learn. You know, you're getting paid to learn about what it's like to earn, let's just say, learn skills about process technologies. Your tuition is also being paid. And at the end of the program, you end up with a certificate that allows you to be a very, very good contender for getting one of these process technician jobs. So you start off with zero manufacturing experience or even knowledge. And at the end of the program, in this case for us, it's 16 months long. That's not so long. You end up with a certificate where you can walk in and really get a good job that provides for your family. And so not enough people know about these opportunities. It's not only the university route that offers really great paying jobs, you know, and that's one of the things that we're really proud about, that we're helping to reduce the barriers to entry. And more importantly, also in support of the reason why we're sitting here in the panel today, we're looking for great people from our community that want to stay in the community and make sure that they understand there are great jobs to be had. So we have these partnerships, and we continue to invest in local partnerships with our community colleges and universities to ensure that people understand and also see that we support programs that help increase STEM, science and technologies, engineering and mathematics related fields, interest thereof, and we provide scholarships as well. I can go on forever. I'll stop there and let someone else.
And that's a great
talk.
point, Erica. I mean, the earn and learn idea, people really think about it in construction trades. And there are a number of opportunities in the manufacturing sector for earn and learn that have fantastic outcomes. BSF's program that I know we'll dig into a little bit more in a bit. Also, a program that Tim, I'm sure, knows well and is close to his own career and experience. The FAME, the Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education, that Toyota began and actually about a year and a half ago transitioned over to the Institute to operate and expand nationwide, that's focused right now on the advanced maintenance technician skill set, which is such a ubiquitous and essential skill set. But these jobs, you know, you can get your degree, your associate's degree, you can get this skill set and learn and not come out with college debt and not, you know, have that burden, but really be set off on a great path. And it's, while we do, particularly in FAME, you know, they aim for the, you know, it's the top third of your class in high school. We're not looking for people who have no other way. You know, it's a really challenging skill set that's, you know, again, highly in demand. But, you know, some of my favorite FAME students I've talked to over the years are really those, I switched careers. I talked to a single mom out in St. Charles, Indiana, a couple of years ago, who found FAME as a skill set. And she said, when I told my family I was going to go into this apprenticeship program, they were stunned, but I love what I get to do. And that's really the life-changing opportunities where you can earn skills, and skills are the thing that are in demand and for these jobs that are really of value. And so, you know, and that's why the D&I focus for all of the work that we're doing is so critical, because we need to remove barriers to education to make sure that people with all backgrounds, all experience in all communities, who are particularly this underrepresented communities, see that there's an opportunity for them here. You know, the Institute and the mothership, as I call it, the National Association of Manufacturers, our parent partner, I launched our campaign, a joint campaign called Creators Wanted, which is a research-based campaign trying to change the perception of manufacturing. We are sometimes our own worst enemy, because, you know, my dad would say, well, I would hang a sign on the door and people would come, right? I can hear my grandfather saying that to me. We're not in that world anymore, and people don't know what goes on in the big buildings set back from the highway, right, in the industrial park. And so we have to tell our story and inspire people. And I think if there's any highlight or any, you know, silver lining that can come from COVID, and that's a really hard thing, because it's been a really dramatically challenging year for everybody. It's that manufacturing has never been more relevant and never been more front and center. And we have this opportunity to show and people understand, whether it's the toilet paper that no one could find a year ago today, right, to the vaccines that we're all waiting for if we haven't gotten it yet, that manufacturing is really at the center. So I will put in a short plug for an event we're having tomorrow, our Creators Wanted platform with BASF on apprenticeship. And that will be at 12 noon on creatorswanted.com. And we'll have that link out later today. So keep an eye out on that. So now there's a lot of competition for skilled workforce in our sector and across industries. And Dee, how do you, as you look at it and as you work with companies of all sizes all across the country, right? And that's why you have such a unique perspective on the sector, because you've been in it and you're working with so many clients and partners.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do a better job of retraining, of attracting, recruiting, retaining the next generation of workforce? And, what should we do a better job of highlighting to make it more attractive?
The thing I would definitely say, similar to what, I'm hearing from Erica, is you have to go into, whether it's the high schools, the colleges, you have to start early. And then, of course, there's always going to be the name recognition, because they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I remember when BASF came to my high school or my college, or EY came to my college. And, there were a couple consultants who, kept in touch with me and were able to mentor me throughout my college experience. So I think that's really where it begins. Companies have to decide that if they want to attract the best talent, they have to go to where the talent begins. So I'll start there. The other thing is, these young professionals, they're looking for companies that are going to provide that experience, the excitement, of coming to work, doing rewarding work, as well as they're going to demand that more diverse work environment. So with that said, we all know that companies are going to benefit from different backgrounds being in their workforce. And it's really important for leaders to really speak very boldly about it. And for the future, not just the future, but just employees in general, to understand that their leaders truly stand behind diversity and inclusion, and that they're ready to prepare their culture and their workforce, for I don't want to call it a new approach, but I think with everything that's been going on, it is somewhat of a new approach, being much more bold in your stance. So, being in front of the young professionals, sharing your stories about the great work you're doing, whether it's manufacturing or professional services like EY, and providing not just the treasure, but the time, just really providing that time and showing them that it's, I feel like it's more like a legacy that they'll
Right.
potentially leave behind. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Legacy. I was just thinking, Erica, I've been to BASF plants. It's amazing. I just look around and go, who put this together, right? I mean, just the physical footprint itself, right? And I've always, as cool as the things we make in our sector, how we do it just is always the thing that just blows my mind. So Erica, you have a huge physical footprint where you operate. You are an operator, right? You're not going to pick up and move down the road because of some whim, right? You have a deep investment in your community. So talk a little bit about what you guys have done and what works.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think one of the things that I can add, particularly to the points that Dee raised, is, things have changed over the last year, especially as it relates to inclusion. And I know we'll get there in the next few minutes, but what's really important for me personally, as well as most companies actually, is the fact that we maintain a very, very positive and strong relationship with the residents in the local communities where we operate, right? And in addition to everything that Dee said, I would only add that, we recognize the constitution of the communities that we operate, and we know that demographics differ by location, quite frankly. In our Freeport, Texas area, our local community consists of a lot of members from a Hispanic or Latinx background. In Louisiana, and we also have a site in Port Arthur, Texas, the local community is coming more from a Black or African American demographic base. And at the end of the day, the community is important. We want to make sure that the people earning employment at BASF are not just those who are coming from other areas, from other states, who recognize the value of a good paying job in manufacturing. We want the local community members to understand that as well. And so what Dee said about starting early, making sure that we formalize partnerships with our local community colleges as well as universities in the area. I think that's the example I can share from Geismar, Louisiana, which is operating in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area. We partnered with parts of the university, for example, the Louisiana State University College of Engineering department came to us and shared with us that they're having problems really attracting students from underrepresented minority groups to pursue degrees in engineering. And so we've decided to set up scholarships to make sure that we can help support those students, and also set up mentorship programs as well, just to keep people motivated. And again, thinking that working in a STEM field, working in a science or chemistry field is a cool thing to do, you know? You have fun. The manufacturing facilities are big, understand, maybe a little intimidating, but at the end of the day, we're a great family, you know, and that's really what it means, you know, to be a part of a manufacturing environment. You depend on each other to operate safely, to have a little bit of fun, and also to make some money while you're at it. And we're really proud of the partnerships that we have fostered, and will continue to do so through mentorships, through scholarships, through other initiatives that really support the community.
Well, you know, and it's so amazing. Again, thinking back to my tour, I was at Michigan, one of your Michigan sites. I think this is the last one that I went to. And, you know, thinking about, I saw one of the pharmaceutical companies with a location, you know, an office there at the site that I was at. And I remember remarking on it to the plant manager, and he said, oh, you know, actually that we make Synthroid, and we have a chemical that, and I said, well, I take Synthroid. So like, it was suddenly, okay, really, you know, you don't think about the input that particularly you guys offer as you're part of the sector into everything in our lives, and how that comes to life in the story. So, you know, what makes that possible though, and how we have to support folks coming in. I think that's Dee, to go to your point about D&I and the evolution, I think, of the conversation in the country over the last year due to tragedy, but we're having this conversation, and I think it's critical. And I know manufacturers have really doubled down on it to make sure that we're able to lead the change, and that we do close those opportunity gaps. And maybe that is the best thing that could come out of the tragedy, you know, culmination of these tragedies. And so, you know, as we look at this, though, we have to do things to support folks to come into the sector and support them through the sector. So Tim, you know, from your perspective, you know, you said that you were in manufacturing for a long time before you came to education. And I know I could probably say for you, we need more former manufacturers to come into education, because we need more trainers, right, to train the next generation. But how do you help companies, and you know, as you are a champion for manufacturing, how do you help your students identify resources and opportunities so that they can be successful? Like, how can we all do a better job? What do you do from your current role, you know, to support people in this journey?
Right. So there's a couple things here. So one, I always talk about how rewarding it is. You know, I give examples of what I did, you know, so it's something different every day. You do something different every day. You're multi-skilled, you're electrical strong in electronics, you're good at troubleshooting, you have fluid power, you're mechanical. And it just the array of those things and that skill level, you hit something every day differently. You know, my manufacturing experience, I could go from day, you know, first day of the week, Monday, you know, you're busy trying to get started back up from being shut down over the weekend. Tuesday, you're sitting there, you don't get any calls at all, you know, but the next day you're working on a robot. Then, you know, you know, towards the end of the week, you're working on a floor conveyor. It was so different every time. It was mechanical, electrical, and you just didn't know. So the skill level and being able to kind of fix something like that was so rewarding to myself, because you're actually accomplishing something, and the people on the line appreciate that, because, you know, in heart, they've got product to get out the door. and you are their savior to get them out and to their family as quick as they can and not have that downtime. So that's how rewarding. I kind of explain that in our, my scenario, how, this is the benefits of what this is, and this is how challenging and the rewards you gain from it. Another thing is a lot of our we have a lot of opportunities available here at Vincennes University for our students. We have several partnerships with a lot of companies. We have the AMT program, which started off around 8 years ago. That it was a partnership with Toyota initially. It has expanded. We've created our own chapter. We joined FAME maybe 5 years ago or so when that kind of started up. We've got our own chapter in Southern Indiana now. We've got, I think, 6 companies in there. We've got Toyota. We've got a Toyota Bashuku, Indiana, Berry Plastics, Ameriqual, Toyota, ThyssenKrupp Preston, even Hershey. So, all these companies are coming to us. They're going out recruiting students for us, actually, as a university, because of this partnership. And they tell the students about the programs we have available here. And what happens is they join in. The restrictions aren't really too much, but it is kind of hard to get in. You've got to be college algebra ready and English comp ready. So you've got to have a high skill level kind of coming into it somewhat. So, you go back to the high school and stuff, keep that math and English, take that all the time, make sure you're up on it. But the rewards from that, they're getting to, in that partnership, they're working 2 days a week and then going to school 3 days a week, every week. And they're making enough money, like you talked about earlier, Caroline, was to come out debt free after they graduate. So, and then after they do graduate, they have 2 years experience and a degree already, an associate's degree, that they're able to kind of get that job. The goal is to kind of work for that company, but sometimes that doesn't work out. So, but they still got that education and work experience available for them. So there's many opportunities out there, and I always try to stress those. We have other partnerships with AIM up north. It's Advanced Internship in Manufacturing. We're with Subaru, Caterpillar, and some other small companies up there too. But again, we've got satellite offices like that, and then we're actually starting another one in the Indianapolis area, an AMT program. So that's going to start up this fall. So it's just great. Indiana seems to be a hot manufacturing area. We're having trouble getting students to realize that, though. Again, that's the big struggle. So that's where I push these companies, hey, go out and recruit for us and tell us about it, right? Tell them about what these opportunities available are.
I think if I remember correctly, Indiana is the most manufacturing dense state, and you have like every kind of manufacturing, every flavor. It's more than the 31 flavors that Baskin Robbins used to be, right? So you have every flavor of manufacturing you can have there. And so, that goes to, it amazes me that you have a hard time recruiting into manufacturing in a state that is so heavily manufacturing, right? If I think about Indiana, I think about manufacturing and basketball, of course, being a good Hoosiers fan from way back. So, how do we tell that story and reach different populations? And that's where the D&I focus and the deliberate, so the work of the Institute, we focus on, all of these populations, but also then that infused into all of our program work. So into FAME, how are we reaching diverse communities and recruiting them in and then helping them stay in, right? Our women's program, who are we reaching? How do we make sure that they see role models? Because we know that role model, the mentorship. Erica was our chair for our STEP Women's Initiative last year, so knows this well. How do we have those role models? It really matters, and that you see people who are like you, that you can follow in those footsteps. And for people who are breaking ceilings, like in our STEP program, and like you always have, Erica, you need to have that community to be part of that network. And so, I think this year, a lot of companies have really doubled down, which is really important, and being very deliberate. Dee, you said earlier, being very, very specific and more outspoken, I think you said, to make sure that we're telling our story and that we're making commitments and putting the work behind it. So many companies are really reevaluating how they create diversity and what their commitments are to diversity. And so, Dee, I want to start with you because I know EY has made a very specific commitment and a very strong statement. So if you want to talk about that a bit.
Yes, so I'm so very proud. This is probably one of the proudest things that I am of EY. I'm kind of stumbling over myself right now, but last year our EY US chair, Kelly Greer, she decided it was time to make a bold statement that it was just not enough to say that I'm not racist, because I'm sure you all have heard people say, well, I'm not racist, but it's really time for people to really speak out and to take action. And what we really say at EY, you have to be anti-racist. And Kelly Greer, of course, in normal fashion, she's not just going to put a statement out. It's like, okay, what are those action items that we're going to focus on in order to make the difference and in order to speak out and to really take the action? So a couple areas that EY is focusing on. One, of course, education, which we've always been focused on education. Definitely a huge commitment in our community. And I'm gonna go back and speak on these, as well as helping Black and Latinx companies, entrepreneurs, really scale and get their businesses to the next level. So starting with education, EY has always been heavily involved, of course, with colleges and universities. But, in recent years, even prior to, we'll just say, the unfortunate events of last year, there has been a focus, on our women, on our Brown Latinx community, and really going into those universities and, again, providing that mentorship, providing pathways to career opportunities, which is the most critical piece. But we've further committed by donating $4 million to HBCUs last year. And again, further committing to the time and to, again, those career paths that will get these students into, we would say, the professional services, because that's our business. But with that said, also, of course, time in the community. When we're looking at our local offices around the country, we've set up community, I call them like little tiger teams, where we really are focused on those areas, where we're getting in to those schools, getting in front of those students, showing them, what the opportunities can be for them in the future. And then finally, I want to talk about the Entrepreneur Access Network, which is a part of our Entrepreneur of the Year program, which has been around for 35 years. And also we have Entrepreneurial Women, which has been around for 12. So again, still very strong support for women. But what EY realized is there was still a gap for our Latinx and our Black entrepreneurs. So basically what has been set up, and what we call it, there's two groups. There's the group that we call more of the emerging entrepreneur, been in business at least 2 years, we'll say less than 5 million in revenue, but they're a scalable business. And what EY would like to do is to provide not only access to funding, but the networks. And what EY has done has partnered with other like-minded businesses and organizations to really rally around these companies and really help them scale and get to the next level, and ultimately be, a future Entrepreneur of the Year winner. And, just to add a little bit more flavor to that, when you think about the impact that minority businesses have to this economy, it's roughly $700 billion that minority businesses are contributing to this economy. And that's with very little support. So just imagine, and I'm getting a little emotional, just imagine if they were provided the resources, they were provided the funding, they were provided access to the networks.
Right.
What could happen? I mean, it's
amazing.
It's mind-blowing. I don't know if we have time, Carolyn, for me to jump in here. I mean, at the end of the day, Dee, you are like there and right. And, I think the statement that you made about EY and the bold move that the company made to actually have a statement, at the end of the day, there were, that is remarkable. And what I noticed last year is it marked the shift, right? It marked the shift in terms of us realizing that the expectations of our American population are changing, right? So It's not just good enough to offer necessarily a paying job so that you can support your families. People are expecting companies to actually make a statement in in line with what are your values as a company? What do you stand for? And what does diversity and inclusion mean for you? For BASF, I can say, you know, we are a rather conservative company. We made a statement, I would say, along the lines of what your company did. I think a whole community of companies did that. And I know we even had a statement come out from either NAM or the Manufacturing Institute, Carolyn, but it was like a wave of, you know what, this matters. And for BASF, D&I means, you know, everyone needs to feel like they are part of a family. You know, everyone needs to feel like they're included. And one of the things that we did after holding a lot of internal discussions, I think branded on a high level, conversations that matter, courageous and compassionate conversations, we came back as a leadership community and came up with 6 action fields, one of which I'm sponsoring, which is called Building Community Connection. So it's important for employees of the manufacturing community to feel not only am I part of my local community where I live and, you know, go to the gym and all of that, we want people to feel a part of the company or the community in which they work, right? And in that respect, many companies offer what I would call employee resource groups, where you have a group for veterans, you have several groups for underrepresented minorities. BASF, I'm proud to share, we recently kicked off a new group that focuses on individuals that have disabilities, both visible and non-visible disabilities. And we do these groups, we form these groups so that people feel that, you know, if I need some support, you know, I can be a part of the company that is not necessarily, you know, the team that I work with on a day-to-day basis. You know, I've got a separate group that I can lean on and get some support from. What we're doing in my Building Community Connections team, together with my colleagues, is we're taking the employee resource groups and also encouraging them to look outside. You know, how do we take, for example, the parents group or the African American resource group and build a stronger foundation in terms of the relationship that the local chapters have with the community, right? And so we're really asking people to, if our employees and America is expecting companies to take a more proactive stance, a more bold stance for D&I, let's put actions behind that as well and make sure that we have the virtuous circle or cycle of goodness actually completed. So the companies stand up. At the end of the day, the employees within the companies give back, yeah? And so we're working on that. We also are very passionate about increasing supplier diversity, very consistent with what you said. How do we increase the amount of business that we do, because we're a big company, and rise the tide for all boats? So that's a priority of ours. And then lastly, I think pretty standard practice, we give through various charitable organizations. And that's, to me, it's the standard part of it, right? So really now the expectation is that we do more. And in doing more, that increases, again, the sense of feeling like you're part of something bigger. And for me, it's important that the audience here also understands it's not just about getting a good job. You're part of a community, you're part of a family, and you make good money. The company makes good money, and guess what? The community makes good money as well. We all win through partnership.
That's right. And, you know, the D&I and the NAM did put out a pledge for action, and which was 11 bold commitments to how we're going to close the opportunity gap and improve racial equity and inclusion. And it's really, you know, look, there's the it is the right thing to do. It is the essential thing to do. And quite honestly, the reality is it is mathematically impossible for us to continue to compete in this country if we're only playing with part of the population that's a shrinking part of the population. And so we need to reach all communities. I did get one question in the chat about how do we let students know, this came from someone in a rural area in Virginia, how do we let students know about the opportunities? It's incumbent upon all of us as the manufacturing community to open our doors on manufacturing day and bring people in, our students and teachers and parents, and talk about manufacturing. It's incumbent on us to do things like a Creators Wanted campaign, to tell the story of apprenticeship programs like we're doing with BSF tomorrow, and the other options. And Tim, what you talked about, what all your companies are doing in your partnerships to go into local high schools and help recruit, right? We have to tell our story. It's a competitive market out there, right? We have to explain to them that we're here and that these are family supporting opportunities. And this is how, right? There's so much information available. It's hard to find. How do we take the next step? And that's why conversations like this are important. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you to Tom for letting us be part of your conference series. And Ben, I will hand it back over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carolyn. And thank you, Tim, Eric, and Dee for being here with us today. Audience members, if you missed any part of today's session, we encourage you to check out our YouTube channel where this conversation and all conversations in the series will live on. That's youtube.com/TomTom Foundation. Please also look out for an email from us later on today with some events and materials mentioned during today's program. We hope you'll continue to learn more about these incredible organizations. Thank you all again, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.